This is the route we took by bicycle through Iran. So we crossed from Turkey at the Kapikoy-Razi border, which is newly opened as of April 2011. We crossed over a beautiful ride down an empty road, but it was under construction, so there was no traffic. Wild camped by a river, which was gorgeous. Down to the town of Khoy, where we had our first experience with the awful traffic. Really busy, awful road all the way to Salmas. Then we kind of got onto a smaller road and we wild camped by this lake, and then we stayed with a family that invited us when we stopped at their bakery. The road was fairly quiet, but as we were approaching this big city of Tabriz, it started getting more and more busy, so we decided to hitch a ride. We arranged for a ride with our bicycles in a truck and the rest of us in a car, and we went the last 25 kilometers to Tabriz by sort of taxi. Then there it took us forever to find a clean and decent hotel for not too much money. We stayed there for a couple of nights, or maybe a few nights, and then it was there that Tommy and Marie went, I think, to the Caspian Sea, and then we decided to go south. We actually jumped on a bus, and we went, it was overnight, 13 hours I think, all the way to Esfahan by bus. We arrived early in the morning. We went and had coffee in a park in the beautiful city, Esfahan. We met Man Mohammed there. He invited us to stay overnight and had a really great talk with him and about just insights into Iran and where it stands in sort of the future, its future. After a couple of nights, we also camped in the city park in Esfahan and met another Dutch couple. These two were in a Land Rover traveling, I think, down to Africa. Then the next day we started cycling. We wanted to head towards Yazd, but we wanted to go through the desert. We started going through while camping in the desert and stuff. We wanted to take this road, but ended up being completely impassable. So we ended up going, because of the wind was heading this way, we went this way too. It's here we met the Zoroastrian and his almond orchard. Stayed overnight there. It's a really nice camp spot. We got as far as this town Nain, and it was a busy road, and it looked really boring. So we jumped on a bus and went to Yazd. There we met our contact who had written us saying that we could stay in his pomegranate orchard, and it turned out there was a very nice little apartment attached to it, so we were really comfortable for 4 or 5 days. We stayed in Yazd and had a really interesting time. Lots and lots of good things happening. Then after we were done resting in Yazd, we jumped back on the bikes and started heading towards Shiraz. We wild camp, but the wind was actually still heading this way, so really in our face. So we started catching rides in the Zamiat trucks, the blue trucks that we called Zamionets. So we got a ride as far as Abarku, camped overnight in the city park. We headed back out into the wind the next day, made it 10 kilometers, jumped in another Zamiat, a cube van, as far as this town. Then we were wild camping, but we were getting into the mountains, and one night we spent in an apple orchard and we nearly froze to death. It was really cold. Then we got another ride as far as here, with the Zamionet. Then back on our bikes on a quiet road. We had about 30 kilometers of really nice ride here, but then it was getting late and cold and we didn't want to camp anymore, so we caught another Zamionet lift with this guy who invited us to stay with his family, and the family was, they took care of us, but they were the first family that was really not at all curious about who we are. They didn't ask us any questions, but anyway, they let us stay and they treated us like royalty. The next day in the morning we had another beautiful ride, maybe 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers without any traffic. As we headed towards Persepolis, then the traffic got worse and everything, but we made it by bike. We decided we were going to stay and visit Persepolis, so we camped overnight actually in front of a military compound. Well, we asked permission and they said sure, as long as it was outside of the compound. We visited Persepolis and, you know, we were disappointed by it. It seemed a little bit too, I don't know, shuffling the tourists around, but we were really tired by this point of the traffic, and, you know, maybe it was okay, but we just couldn't see it. Then we headed to Shiraz. We weren't really planning to cycle it, but we ended up cycling it because we couldn't get a lift, and then a few climbs and a big long downhill, and we made it to Shiraz, where we stayed and rested for 2 long, boring weeks, and then we took a plane out to Oman.